You walk past a gold mine and you don't even realize that you're walking past a gold mine. Sometimes a person can be facing greatness. Opportunity is right there staring in his face and he misses it. And it's such a shame. So every year we try to discuss the inyan of the Heilige Tag, the incredible day of Purim, Haba Aleinu L'Tova, in a very, very special way, because it's such a special day. And if we don't understand the capabilities and the opportunities that we have of Purim, then we just walked past the gold mine and we didn't take the opportunity and we didn't utilize the Kedushas Hayoim and the wonderful opportunities that Purim brings together with it. The Ramban is a famous klal. The Ramban says that the more something is destroyed, the more intrinsic Kedusha it contains. And you see that by, of course, the Beis HaMikdash and the Churban Abayis, but you see it also from the day of Purim. It's, so to speak, quote unquote, a destroyed day. People are running, people are doing Avada for mitzvahs in a gavaldic way. But sometimes we don't utilize the opportunities that Purim brings together with it. I'll bring you an example, and then we'll move on. The Sfarim HaKadoshim bring down a few incredible ideas that I want to share with you. Based on the Mishnah in Megillah that everybody's familiar with, where the Mishnah tells us in Masechtas Megillah that the Megillah can be read on Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, and Yud Gimel, the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th of Adar. Says the Sfarim HaKadoshim that these 3 days before Purim, even though nowadays we don't really read Purim, the Megillah, on those days we read Yud Dalet and Tesvav, depending on where you are, but you still have the Havamina, that the Mishnah tells us there is such a yisoid of reading the Megillah on the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th of Adar. Zug the Sfarim HaKadoshim. These are like the Shloshis Semei HaGabolah, before Kabbalah Satorah, before Matan Torah, just like we know 3 days before Shavuos, the Shloshis Semei HaGabolah, of preparation, of preparing ourselves to be the kli, to be the utensil, the base kibble, to accept the Torah. As we know on Purim, they were makabel again, this time the Simcha Zog Tosfos, they did a B'Ava, and therefore we have 3 days before Purim to prepare ourselves. The Heilige Chassam Sofer brings down in his drushes to Zayin Adar. Zog the Chassam Sofer, he says that when Esther told everyone to fast for 3 days, these were like the Chassam Sofer, the 3 days that it says before Matan Torah, having a chonim l'shloshis yomim, there had to be a preparation before Purim. There had to be a preparation before Kabbalah Satorah, and we have to realize that's what Purim is. It's not just a day when we mekayem mitzvahs and we get drunk. It's a day that we can actually accomplish so much, as I want to explain, and I'll just say one more thing before we move on to the kasha that I want to get to. There's a Moedik Mishnah Berurah. The Chofetz Chaim writes, you can look this up in Siman Tzadis Sikoton Chav Ches, and he shows us the chashivas of the Yom of Purim. And Rabbi Yisrael, listen carefully, because if you guys are here listening, you will be able to utilize the incredible day of the koyach of tefillah on the day of Purim. So the Heilige Chofetz Chaim, and he brings a tshuvas Radvaz, that the Radvaz is a kasha. What happens if a person's in a situation that he cannot daven with a minyan? For whatever it is, he can't daven with a minyan. The king gives him permission to daven with a minyan once. You could choose one day in the year. What do you choose? And the shaila is, of the Mishnah Berurah shaila, when he brings the Radvaz, do I choose now? The Maisa, right now. If he lets me to do it now, let him do it now. Why should I wait? Right? It's reason Magdim and the mitzvahs, Chaparain, he's allowed me to daven the minyan. Let's go, right now, mincha. Right? Or do I wait for a different day? Now there are 2 examples that the Radvaz brings of the 2 days that you may possibly think that you would choose when to daven with a minyan. One of them is Yom Kippur, and the other one is Purim. Now Yom Kippur I get that. Yom Kippur, Yom Slicha Mechila, it's a day of tshuva, it's a day of connection with the Rabbeinu Shalom. I get that. It's just 1 day a year that you could choose to have with the minyan. I get it. It should be Yom Kippur. Purim? What shaykh is Purim? Why Purim more than Shavuos? Why more than Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeres, or Shana Rabbah? Purim? Zog the Radvaz, again he doesn't say this clearly, but this is obviously what's coming out. The koyach of tefillah on the day of Purim is so incredible that if you had to choose 1 day a year to daven with the minyan, it could be that the day should be Purim. That's the koyach of tefillah that we have on Purim. That means every single one of us should utilize the day of Purim as a yom ha-tefillah. It's a yom kabbalas ha-tefillahs. It's a day that the power of our tefillah. Of course, every day the Rebbeinu Shalom accepts our tefillahs and he wants their tefillahs. But certain days just have a bit more of a push, a bit more of a koyach. Purim is one of those days. And we should remember that. And we should utilize it. Utilize every tefillah on Purim. Every brachas hamazon, every asher yatsa, whatever you could do. It's a day of tefillah. It's an incredible, incredible opportunity that we shouldn't waste. But let me start with the kasha. The Gemara tells us in Megillah the following kasha. The Gemara says, Mevatlin Talmud Torah lishmoya mikra Megillah. Very interesting chazal. Mevatlin Talmud Torah, mevatl Torah. No Torah, right? Stop learning. You're in the middle of a Tosfos, of a Rashba, close the Sefer and go and listen to the Megillah. Now, I have a simple question for the Olam. It's a very simple question. Doesn't every mitzvah require some level, if you want to call it that, I don't want to call it that, but the Gemara does basically, of bittul Torah? Like if you want to shake a lulav, right, you have to literally pick up the lulav, there's kavanas, the naniyim, it's a ganze Zach. If you want to eat matzah on Seder night, you also have to eat matzah. You have to close the Gemara and eat matzah. There are many mitzvahs that we do and that we're required to do that it doesn't say this. Why over here specifically does it say Mevatlin Talmud Torah Lishmoya Mikra Megillah? What's so special about the Megillah that we have to understand that the Chazal are telling us, close the Gemara, which we have to do by every mitzvah, right? Talmud Mevele De Maisa, the Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Mem on the base. About the many halachas that we have to close the Gemara in order to learn, in order to do. That's why we learn, in order to do. So I'm doing, so why does it have to say Mevatlin Talmud Torah? That's the kasha. Let's answer the kasha with a couple of things. I'll talk to you like this. Let's start with this. Rabbi said, we'll start with the Gemara Megillah Daf Zayin. Famous chazal. It's a famous song, Agav, it's a chazal. Chayiv inish lebesum bepuria adula yada. That we know, it's a gavaldiga mitzvah, that we try to mekayim mahadrin mina mahadrin. Nobody looks for colors over here. And the Gemara tells us as follows. The Gemara says chayiv inish, that there's an obligation. As far as I know, every art scroll translates that as chayiv means obligation, as far as I know. Right? If that's the case, Chazal tells us there's an obligation to get completely plastered on Purim. As I state in Chazal, right? But there's a problem. What's the problem? Because the Gemara straight after saying chayiv inish tells us a story. Now we have to understand, when Chazal tell us a story, there's a reason for it, okay? The Gemara tells a Maisa with Rabbah and Reb Zera, where Rabbah and Reb Zera were eating a Suda. Reb Zera was killed. Against a Maisa, if it was real or not real, I'll be Kabbalah, I'll be the Marsha. I'm not going down to the Sugya now, but whatever it is, there was a matzav. He brought him back to life again, did Tchiyas HaMeisim on him, and the next year, he invites him to his Suda. Says, you want to come for the meal? No. You did it once. You were Zaycha to Tchiyas HaMeisim once. I'm not trying it again. I'm not taking no risks. So he decided he's not going to come to him. And the question is over here, and it's the question in the Rishonim. Why did the Gemara bring us this story right after it says Chayiv Inish? It tells us an obligation to get plastered, and then tells us a story, I have one killed the other. So do I or do I not follow the Gemara? That's the kasha. Most Rishonim, and without going into the details because that's not the sugya now, some Rishonim hold that since the Gemara brought us the story of what could happen if a person gets drunk, it's not kedai. Meaning, yes, chayiv inish, but l'maisa, the story tells us, be careful, probably you shouldn't do it. That's how some of the Rishonim learn. Others Rishonim, and this is the maisa, Rov Rishonim, v'chein pasak moron habeis Yosef in the Shulchan Aruch, is that we paskin that about the chayiv inish, the story, and a person has to be careful. But chayiv inish means chayiv inish, which means that there's an obligation we paskin to get completely drunk. Yes, the Ramah brings kulas, and there are kulas of the Rambam, and there's kulas of 17 different Rishonim of how you can learn chayiv inish and the shear of getting drunk, which we'll discuss Be'ez Hashem la halacha at a different time. But we're not looking for kulas. Who looks for kulas in Yiddishkeit? We don't look for kulas in Yiddishkeit. We want to have the mitzvah in the best possible way. So we're going to go all the way. What is going on? What type of religion is this? Gemara in Pesachim, everybody's familiar with 3 people the Rebbeinu Shalom hate. One is someone that gets drunk. Huh? And on Purim we're meant to get drunk. Not only are we meant to get drunk, how you have to get drunk. Big in Yonim. What is this? Drunk on Purim. A Yid. A yid that's meant to be holding himself, understanding where he's doing. What is this all about? That's the kasha, Rabbi say. There's a story that we say every year from the Heilige Baditsheva, the Kedushas Levi. Moedik Kedushas Levi, this one. Listen to this Maisa. The Maisa goes like this. As many tzaddikim did, they used to travel. Used to go into exile, used to travel, people didn't know who they were. Kedushas Levi was no different, he used to go into exile, he used to go into Golos. He went into an inn, and he asked for a room, and the innkeeper, simple Amoritz, had shown no problem, give you a room, gives him a room, gives the rabbi the room, no problem. The rabbi goes into his room, Shalom Al Yisrael. In the middle of the night, the innkeeper hears noises. He hears noises. Says, what's going on? So he goes, everyone's supposed to be sleeping now, it's the middle of the night. So he walks around the inn, and he realizes it's coming from the door that the rabbi who came last night is sleeping in. So he puts his ear to the door, is everything okay? And he hears crying, stamping on the floor, mamish crying, tzibrochen. He says, oy vay, this is terrible. What happened to this rabbi? Is everything okay? So he slowly knocks on the door. The rabbi opens, he couldn't believe it, there's tears, mamish tears coming down. The floor is wet with a puddle of tears. He says, Rabbi, is everything okay? Who died? What happened? So the rabbi brings him into the room. He says, no. I'm crying for the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Now this is a Yid who doesn't know Churban Beis HaMikdash. What's the Beis HaMikdash? What are you talking about, Rabbi? He says, I'll explain to you. We had a Beis HaMikdash, and that was the Mokem HaShechina, and that was where we had Korbanos, and we had the Avodas of the Kohanim, and he started to explain him. And the innkeeper's like, what? This is why you're crying? This happened years ago, man. Come on, chill out. This doesn't happen now. Why are you still crying? No, you have to understand. And he went through the sugya with him to explain him how a Yid has to cry for the Churban Beis HaMikdash, how we have to feel the Churban. And all of a sudden this innkeeper, the Pintel Yid, the little spark of Yiddishkeit started to ignite, and it started to fan the flames within him. And all of a sudden this innkeeper decided that he's getting involved, and he started to cry. And he says, oy vay, what's going to be? Where's the Rabbeinu Shalom? Where's the Shechina? We don't have a Beis HaMikdash, we don't have the Kohanim, the Korbanos, and everything that went over there. And he was crying, and they were delving deeper and deeper into the sugya. Ad kedei kach, that the Baditsheva saw that this innkeeper was in sakona. He was so involved, he was so tzibrochen, he looked like he was about to have a heart attack. So Baditsheva said, hold on a minute, you have to understand. Chazal tell us that the Rabbeinu Shalom destroyed the Beis HaMikdash for our good. Like Chazal tell us, the Rabbeinu Shalom destroyed the sticks and the stones instead of Klal Yisrael themselves. So really it was for our good. Really it was for our Klal Yisrael's good. And they started going that until eventually they broke out into a smile. And then they started to sing. And then they started to dance. And they had a Moedik and Rakida going on over there in this inn on the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Zug the Baditsheva. Zug the Heilige Baditsheva. That this exactly, it's what's going on Purim. That through the whole time in life, throughout the year, we're busy with the tzoros, we're busy with what's going on in our lives, what is going right, what is not going right, what we think should be going right. But we don't recognize that everything is for our good. We don't recognize that we should be dancing and singing the ganze Jahr, the whole year we should be singing in that way. But not always do we have the opportunity. Because life sometimes lends itself to all sorts of challenges and situations. But ultimately, to realize that everything that happens is for us, is for the good that we need. A Maisa with one of the Rebbes, whichever Rebbe it was, it's irrelevant, whichever one it was, that there were lines and lines of Hasidim that were waiting to see the Rebbe. And there was a very poor man who was at the back of the line and slowly inching his way forward. And he's waiting to get a bracha, and hopefully the Rebbe would give us some money, because generally the derech was that if a Rebbe saw that someone needed the money, he would give him a bissel geld that he got from one of the previous Hasidim, whatever. So he's excited to get a bracha and a bit of geld. He'll be able to have some money to bring home to his family. He's waiting in the line, and he sees that as he's getting closer and closer, there's a very wealthy man who just joins the line at the back. He joins at the back, and he sees a chutzpah. He sees the Gabba sees, the Rebbe sees, the Rebbe tells the Gabba, do me a favor, get that rich guy in quick. Yeah, the chutzpah, what is it, protects you over here. That's not how it works. We've been waiting in line for hours. Why does he get in first? Just because he's got a bit of money. It's a chutzpah. He was so upset. And obviously he's not going to say anything to the Rebbe, but he was really upset. The rich man went in. Eventually this poor man got his turn. And he was still upset. Like, how can the Rebbe do this? Come on. Just because I don't have money and he has money, he gets in first. That's not fair. So he didn't say anything. But the Rebbe sensed that he was upset. And he sensed why. He said, my dear Yid, I want to tell you something. You are upset that I let this wealthy man in. I want to explain to you why I did it. Very simple. I had money here that I give out to people that need money. I realized that I've got basically nothing left. And there's many more people coming to see me that need money. This man is going to give me a nice pigeon. He's going to give me a nice amount of money. I'll be able to continue giving out to all the poor people money. So I let him in first so that I'll be able to give you the money. And then all of a sudden it dawned on him, so it is for my good. How many times in life do things seem terrible? They seem bad. They seem like they don't make sense. But the Rabbeinu Shalom's got that master plan. He's holding the strings. And we're just in this world as puppets. And it may look terrible and bad. It doesn't make any sense. How can this be? Why is the Rabbeinu Shalom doing this? And the answer is because there's a big plan. And the way the Rabbeinu Shalom runs the world is so perfect, it's so gavaldik, that we don't even sometimes understand and appreciate it. It's almost like a young child, where you got two brothers. One of them happens to have diabetes, for example, and he can't take any sugar. And the other one's healthy. And the mother comes to give dessert. And to one of the children, she gives a nice ice cream with all sorts of candies and chocolates and cakes and everyone. And the other one gets a baked apple. And he looks at his mother and says, you don't love me as much as you love my brother, because you're not giving me that dessert. And she looks at him and says, no, you don't understand. If I would give you the same dessert, yes, it would be sweet for a few moments in your life, but the after effects of what could happen to you and your health could be detrimental, could be terrible. We have to understand and live the message that the life that we have here is something that we don't always understand. We don't understand how the Rabbeinu Shalom runs the world, and it looks to us like it's difficult. It looks to us like it's terrible. But we have to understand there is a master plan. And Rabbi said, let's go back to our original kasha. Why do we get drunk? It's the Indian of getting drunk. What's the pshat? So as we said last year as well, you can't drink and drive. Never drink and drive. If you drink, you don't drive. You know why? Because during the year, we think we're in the driving seat. We're driving. It's us. We're in control, right? When a person is drunk, he's not in control. He does whatever just comes his way, whatever goes. He's not in control. He doesn't make cheshbonis. The whole life, if I do this, this is going to happen. If I say that, that's going to be. All the cheshbonis in the world. You get drunk, there's no cheshbonis anymore. You just go, you just say, you just do. The Rabbeinu Shalom is telling us, one day a year, no cheshbonis. Rely on the Rabbeinu Shalom. Don't drink and drive. If you drink, you don't drive. Because if you drink on Purim, you're not going to be in the driving seat. Because you're going to recognize that it's the Rabbeinu Shalom that's in the driving seat and not us. And that answers our original kasha. Mevatel in Talmud Torah says Chazal, L'shmoya mikra Megillah. Why? We're mevatel Torah, even though mevatel Torah for lulav and for matzah and for many other things. Oh, but the chizuk, says the Gemara in Zvachim, Betuli Kiyumai, the chizuk that a person can gain by listening to the Megillah, understanding the Megillah, absorbing the message of the Megillah, where everything looked terrible. Oivai, Esther's inviting Haman. It makes no sense. What's going on? We're going to be destroyed. But no, there's a big plan. That's what the Megillah gives us a chizuk. The Megillah gives us a chizuk. Yeah, close your Gemara. You know why? Because the chizuk you get from listening to the Megillah is so great, so gavaldik, that it's going to give you a chizuk the entire year. And all of us, Be'ez Hashem, should be zeichet to makayim the mitzvah in the right way, to utilize the day of Purim, Be'ez Hashem, Abba Aleinu L'Tova.